Chapter 666, Plot. As Justice Hall's master of the Serenity sect, the middle-aged man was the first of the strongest 5 in the entire hidden sect. It was especially due to his metal-like body that even a gunshot would not be able to pierce his skin. However, at this moment, he actually felt that a great danger that could claim his life was looming over him, arousing fear and shrouding his whole heart. How can this be? The middle-aged man did not dare to move in the slightest for fear that the opponent would break his neck with a little force, since he could feel that the big hand grabbing his neck was like an iron pincer. Stab. A sharp dagger easily pierced his heart. The moment the tip of the dagger impaled his heart, the pain was such that it sent the middle-aged man toward full despair. He could not understand why. He had a formidable body, he was always proud, and yet an ordinary knife could stab him? There was no way an ordinary knife could pierce his skin. Mo twitched his dagger and stared at Wang Hu and Xian Yugu, who were screaming miserably, and sent the middle-aged man's body flying with a punch. Then, he said with a cold expression, "If you dare to bend your waist again, I guarantee that your right wrist will not be the only thing slashed." Wang Hu and Xian Yugu froze and glanced at their guns that had fallen on the ground, as a chill then ran through their hearts. They never expected that such a powerful bodyguard was so easily defeated. Judging from his back that was dyed red with blood, the man's heart should have been stabbed and he probably could not live anymore. It's over. The duo was filled with desperation and intense regret. Without wasting more time, Mo flashed in front of the duo, grabbed both of their necks and quickly brought them to Tang Xiu's front, throwing the duo like they were garbage. Then, he said, "The task is accomplished, boss." Tang Xiu nodded in response and then looked at Wang Hu and Xian Yugu, who were on the ground. He smirked at them and said, "So, now you know the fate of wanting to play with me, yes? You have signed a life and death pact, so even if I kill you, it is what is supposed to be." Wang Hu, who was currently struggling to get up from the ground, had his expression greatly changed after hearing Tang Xiu's words. His body trembled so violently that he fell to the ground again. Xian Yugu, however, had a bit of courage as he stepped backward after he got up and shouted with some fear on his face, "Surname Tang, you cannot kill me." "Oh?" Tang Xiu let out a mocking smile and ridiculed, "And why can't I kill you? Is it because you're someone from Serenity sect?" "You know the Serenity sect?" exclaimed Xian Yugu in an alarmed expression as his pupils contracted. Suddenly, he seemed to have realized something all of a sudden and shouted again, "Since you know the Serenity sect, then you must know its strength. I'm the son of the sect master of the Serenity sect, and also his only son. The entire Serenity sect will become your enemy if you dare to kill me." "What about him? Who's he?" asked Tang Xiu while pointing to Wang Hu. As if having his courage bolstered, Xian Yugu puffed his chest and answered, "He's a newly received disciple of the elegant chess saintess, someone from the Strange Doors lineage like me. You should have heard about elegant chess saintess too, right? She's the elder sister of the Jing family's patriarch who has reached perfection in the ancient divination art and the art of invisibility. Killing us will be equivalent of provoking both the Jing family and the Serenity sect. My man dared to kill the Justice Hall's master of your Serenity sect. Do you think I will be afraid of the Serenity sect?" Tang Xiu rolled his eyes and sneered. "And who the heck is the Jing family, to begin with? I never heard of them either." "Alright, no more shit talk. I can spare your puny life, but you must answer some questions." Xian Yugu was born with a golden spoon and had been living a spoiled and extravagant life, and had everything going his way all his life, so how could he accept such humiliation today? Under his young master's temper, he angrily shouted, "Stop acting like a pretentious prick. You've killed my Serenity sect's Justice Hall's master. This enmity will never be written off if you can't fork out enough compensation. But if you dare to kill me..." "Arg. Are you threatening me?" Tang Xiu looked at him like he was an idiot and moved his wrist, as the blood-guzzler dagger then instantly cut off his entire left arm. Amidst his screeching, Tang Xiu then looked at Wang Hu and indifferently said, "Now you tell me. Why are there so many people from the Strange Doors lineage here? What is their purpose?" Wang Hu watched in horror as Xian Yugu's arm was cut off, and then answered in a trembling voice, "It's because of an immortal trove left behind by Taoist Tu Yan after he departed his mortal coil." An immortal trove left by Taoist Tu Yan after his death? Tang Xiu knitted his brows and asked, "Who is this Taoist Tu Yan?" "I don't know, my master did not tell me." Wang Hu shook his head. "She just brought me here and told me to stay in the hunting grounds." "What about your master?" asked Tang Xiu once again. "I don't know about it either." Wang Hu shook his head again. "Only the seniors in the Strange Doors lineage know the exact location of this immortal trove. Hence, a lot of seniors went there, but we are to stay here." Tang Xiu nodded. It was something related to an immortal trove, so it was normal for someone with such an identity as Wang Hu to not know about it. It would be strangely abnormal if his master told him about this otherwise. Following that, his gaze then fell on Xian Yugu and coldly said, "Tell me the location of this immortal trove. You have two choices now. Speak and you live, or die with your mouth shut." As of now, Xian Yugu was truly scared. He thought that Tang Xiu was bluffing a while ago, but now he no longer thought so anymore. He thought that Tang Xiu was a ruthless and merciless bastard. He did not want to die yet. His springtime of youth was great, he had countless wealth and he would also inherit the position of sect master of the Serenity sect in the future. There would be nothing left if he were to die now. Furthermore, a lot of experts of the Serenity sect went to the Immortal Trove site. Even if he told Tang Xiu where it was, what he could do there. He would probably be besieged by the group if he dared to go there, and there would only be one road ahead for him: death. "Okay, I'll speak. It's in Longquan Bay." Longquan Bay? Tang Xiu was taken aback. He had just come from Longquan Bay not long ago, how did he not encounter anyone from the Strange Doors? Furthermore, Western Nefarious Sangha's nest was in Longquan Bay area. If those people from the Strange Doors entered Longquan Bay, wouldn't he be the first person to notice them? At the present moment, in Longquan Bay, Western Nefarious Sangha's eyes were bloodshot as he kept brandishing his long cane knife furiously. After he pushed back and divided dozens of people from Strange Doors who were besieging him, countless hidden weapons attacked him in turn. "Burst out!" An old voice sounded, as countless hidden weapons were coming by. A sea of flames broke out and enveloped Western Nefarious Sangha in an instant. Although the raging flame talisman charms only posed a slight threat to him, his body was still hit by various hidden weapons in order to rush out of the sea of flames. "Fucking bastard!" As Western Nefarious Sangha patted his waist, the two bloodthirsty chiropterans rushed out and turned into two lumps of flames that flushed toward the enemies. At this moment, however, 8 shaky and frail-looking old men, all of whom smelled like they were decaying from head to feet, rushed lightning fast and cast a huge net at the same time. After ingenious coordination, 8 nets were cast and opened, overlapping with each other. With wonderful mobile pace and footwork, the blazing flame tide from the two bloodthirsty chiropterans was extinguished. Squeak, squeak. Screams came out from the two bloodthirsty chiropterans' mouths. They desperately struggled but could not escape the shrouding nets. Even their steel-like bodies were cut, opening bleeding wounds along with their struggles. "You damned bastards!" Western Nefarious Sangha's complexion greatly changed and his figure instantly appeared in front of the 8 old men, and hacked his long cane sword toward them. "Shield!" The expression of the 8 old men turned solemn. At the same time as they started chanting, they gathered together. After chanting the same word at the same time, 4 men gathered both in front and back, as they pulled out a strange shield from their waist and assembled it into a 2 meters long and a meter wide large shield in the blink of an eye, blocking the heavy hack from Western Nefarious Sangha's long cane sword. Boom! Those 8 old men spurted out blood and their bodies flew backward at the same time, while Western Nefarious Sunga's pupils contracted as he put away the long cane sword. There was a muffled voice coming out from his mouth, yet he remained silent and forced himself to swallow the blood that gushed out from his throat. That should be a magic tool. How come you bastards from the strange doors have such a magic weapon? Roared Western Nefarious Sunga in anger. He was very chagrined inside because more than half of 48 people who had gathered here had already acted to fight him, while also sacrificing 3 magic tools in the process. A laugh like the sound of a bell came from a kilometer away as Golden Armored Zombie flew over lightning fast, and then appeared in front of everyone in just a few breaths. I warned you that you would never be able to keep that immortal trove for yourself, Nefarious Sunga. I've already guessed that such a day would come since those 2 freaks stole the record about this immortal trove 60 years ago. I just don't understand one thing, though. You had your life under his control, and yet you did not tell him about this immortal trove. Why? Said Golden Armored Zombie in a loud and clear voice. Shut the fuck up, yelled Western Nefarious Sunga angrily. I didn't tell him because I have my own reasons. He does control my life and death now, but as long as I open the entrance to this immortal trove, will I still have to worry about not being able to break his seal? Golden Armored Zombie, don't forget the deal between us. Whoever dares to set their eyes on this immortal trove, then you must collaborate with me to protect it. I haven't forgotten about that. But that soon-to-die old hag Grandma Sheepo hasn't appeared yet. Don't tell me she died on the way here? Old cadaver, it's you who's going to die. This old woman is unlikely to die. As the sharp voice of a woman fluttered in, a woman who looked to be in her 20s came flying down on a rosy cloud. Western Nefarious Sunga's spirit rose as he laughed loudly. The 3 of us finally got together. I really don't know who gave these fucking bastards from the strange doors the courage to cast their eyes on our immortal trove. Don't tell me those 2 bastards who stole the immortal trove's map in the past told them who we are.
Yeah.
It was us who told them indeed. An ethereal voice, like it was coming from nothingness, was heard. 2 old men riding on flying swords came, as one of the old men behind with an immortal appearance and bearing appeared to follow behind Grandma Sheepo in the blink of an eye. They glanced at the 48 people from the strange doors with happy expressions and immediately shifted their sights to Western Nefarious Sunga's group of 3. Well. It's been 60 years since we have seen each other, yes? Did you all miss us? Spoke one of the old men with a warm smile. His left arm was broken, whereas his perfect right arm had a little green snake encircling it. After seeing this 2 old men, Western Nefarious Sunga looked furious as he shouted, Jin Sanchi, Jin Sijie, you 2 fucking damned sons of a bitch. How the hell are you not dead yet? Chapter 667, Devious and Execrable Motives. Kana's Hunting Grounds. While holding the Bloodguzzler dagger, Tang Xiu coldly looked at Xian Yugu. Yet, what appeared in his mind was Western Nefarious Sunga's cave planted with herbs where the soul tranquilizer and solidified dragon's eye were embedded on its ceiling. Don't tell me, it's where the immortal trove is located? If the immortal trove is really there, then why that monk did not tell me? Did he know about it and yet concealed it from me intentionally? After pondering for a short while, Tang Xiu slowly said, Wang Hu and Xian Yugu are your names, right? The 2 of you are nothing but trash, the type of people I hate. I, Tang Xiu, always keep my promises to good people but never restrain myself from taking my words back on the evil ones. So, you 2 just remember. Become good guys in your next life. The Bloodguzzler dagger shot out like lightning and easily sliced off the duo's head, and then returned to Tang Xiu's hand. A moment later, Tang Xiu left with Moo. At the foot of the mountain, Jia Weili looked anxious and restless, praying that Tang Xiu would come back alive. Needless to say that he had a business deal with Tang Xiu. He did not want him to have an accident in his company, merely because Tang Xiu was related to his former platoon leader. Brother Weili, just listen to me. You gotta leave now. If Tang Xiu is killed in the mountain and the other party lives, I'm afraid they will also act against you considering their personalities. You don't know how terrifying these people are, persuaded Gesangger in a low voice after sighing inwardly upon seeing Jia Weili's expression. Jia Weili fell into silence for a moment before a firm look appeared in his eyes. He shook his head and said, "My former platoon leader introduced him to me. I must wait until I see the outcome even if I cannot help him. I will collect his dead body if he dies, and I'll celebrate it with him if he lives." You are just as stubborn as in the past. Gesangger shook his head and forced a smile. Arg, forget it. Stay you want to, then. I guarantee your protection as you collect Tang Xiu's body as long as those old codgers don't come back. Thanks. Inwardly, Jia Weili felt more downcast as he squeezed out an ugly, thankful smile. However, he had yet to finish his words as his expression turned into that of joy, as his eyes stared at the three men coming down from the mountain pathway. Gesangger was baffled and turned his head to the mountain pathway, and then his expression changed into disbelief as he exclaimed, "What the hell happened here? Tang, how did they come down? What about the other three guys?" Nearly 100 people from the Xian house in the surroundings made a ruckus, as they never expected that the people coming down turned out to be Tang Xiu's group of three, and the three people from Xian house actually disappeared. Could it be that they were all killed by them? How was this possible? Oh God. Look at the last man. He is carrying two heads. An exclamation suddenly broke out in the crowd. Everyone's eyes turned wide in a flash. As they saw the three figures coming closer and closer and saw the two heads in the hands of the Everlasting Feast Hall's expert in the back, only then did they recognize that those were Wang Hu's and Xian Yugu's heads, showing that both of them were dead. Does this mean that the Justice Hall's master of the Serenity sect failed in his job? How could he watch Xian Yugu being killed? Then what happened to that guy? Those heads are Xian Yugu's and Wang Hu's, where's the other one? It's really unbelievable. I never expected that the young divine Dr. Tang Xiu would come out as the final victor. What is the origin of his two bodyguards, exactly? This is going to cause a big ruckus in the strange doors. A great show will happen for us to watch. As Tang Xiu arrived in front of Gesangger and Jia Weili under the disbelieving watchful eyes of the numerous onlookers, he nodded to Jia Weili and immediately shifted his gaze to Gesangger, saying, "The problems with people from the strange doors have been settled with the custom made by strange doors itself. I have killed them, so I'm the final winner." A complicated expression could be seen from Gesangger's face as silently nodded, "You did win, but I'm afraid you will have to bear the wrath of the Jin family and the Serenity sect. I dare to kill, so I'm ready for the consequences." Tang Xiu sneered. "However, I have some things to tend to now and won't stay here for long." "That's right. I just killed a hare with the hunting rifle. I'll give it to you, and you can immediately eat it with wine." Gesangger could only force a smile secretly and said, "Go then. You just killed some of these people, and you staying here will only leave you a road to death. You had better leave this place as quickly as possible to avoid things going wrong later. Weili, come with me to drink a few cups of wine while tasting this hare." "I gotta leave, too," said Jia Weili quickly. "You gotta stay." Gesangger knitted his brows. "I still have important things to tell you." Tang Xiu deeply gazed at Gesangger. He could tell that the reason the man's intention to detain Jia Weili was to draw a line between Jia Weili with himself so as to avoid the people from Jin family and the Serenity sect from retaliating against him out of rage. Therefore, Tang Xiu let out a tranquil smile and said, "Two old brothers, since you have important things to discuss, then I bid you farewell. We'll be in touch later." With that said, he did not give a chance for Jia Weili to speak again and left with Moa's group of 11. He did not take the car as they left the hunting grounds. When everyone in the hunting grounds could not see them anymore, Tang Xiu silently chanted a Dao spell as a wave of air seemed to wrap around the waists of Mo's group of 11, and pulled them to the air and flying toward the direction of Longquan Bay, toward Western Nefarious Sangha's immortal abode. Longquan Bay. Western Nefarious Sangha stood outside the entrance of the cave with a murderous aura emanating from him as he glared at the two brothers, Jin Sanqi and Jin Sijie. If stairs could kill, he could have killed these two men countless times already. The broken-armed old man, Jin Sanqi languidly spoke, "Well, Nefarious Sangha, good people never live long, but evil will keep scourging for millennia. I trust that us, two brothers, should be a scourge in your eyes, right? If anything, it was really a pity that you weren't able to kill us with your poison yesteryear, else there wouldn't be any need for us to use such great fanfare, no?" Grandma Shipo took a step forward as she covered her mouth and smilingly said, "Jin Sanqi, there's something that's rather baffling me here. Since you two brothers covet this immortal trove, why did you have to involve these people from the strange doors? There are indeed some remarkable guys among them who can break through the shackles of the martial arts path and able to enter the Tao, and become foundation establishment stage cultivators by virtue of their own martial arts path. But, do you really think they can help you? Or, could it be that you two brothers intentionally brought them here as cannon fodder?" Jin Sanqi's face slightly changed and he sneered, "Shipo, I never expected for you to not have the slightest progress in all these years as Nefarious Sangha's beloved mistress, eh? Such a trivial method to sow dissension between us is useless. Now that I have brought them here, I admit that I indeed have the intention to lead them too." "That's right, didn't you taste how powerful they are, Nefarious Sangha?" With a gloomy expression, Western Nefarious Sangha reminded in a low voice, "You two must be careful. These damned people from the strange doors unexpectedly have some magic tools. I was careless and not checked them out and suffered some internal injuries a while ago." There was a disbelieving expression on Shipo's face as she exclaimed, "What magic tools were they carrying to think that you got injured?" "Those were very strange magic tools." Western Nefarious Sangha forced a bitter smile. "Other than that shield that can be combined temporarily, the other two magic tools have a very destructive power." "That's right. Beware of their talisman charms too. They have Raging Flame talisman charms, and its might is quite potent as well. A pity that those two bloodthirsty chiropterans I've been raising for so many years got trapped by their nets. You should have abandoned those two bloodthirsty chiropterans a long time ago," commented Shipo without hesitation. "You've been feeding them with your blood essence to raise them. Not only has it affected your cultivation speed, but it will also give you a backlash one day. They will accidentally kill you. Miserably. Let us not speak about that first now, shall we?" said Western Nefarious Sangha with indifference. "Now that they dared to come here, it means that they are well prepared. Fortunately, that guy has left, else we'd be in a huge trouble if we met him." "Who's this guy?" asked Shipo, wondering. With a look of gloating at his companion's misfortune, Golden Armored Zombie let out a strange grin and smilingly said, "This lover of yours was hit with very bad luck, Shipo. He nearly got killed by those people, after which he got a seal cast on his soul that controls his life." That was the kind of scene that depicts the adage that humans will die for riches just as birds will die for food. He unexpectedly dared to conceal the existence of the immortal trove from him. "I just really hope that this matter won't be exposed in the future, or else." Western Nefarious Sangha looked a bit resentful and angry as he glared angrily at Golden Armored Zombie and cursed, "If you did not fucking sell me out to him and told him where I was hiding, I wouldn't have." Jin Sanqi and Jin Sijie exchanged looks in wonderment. They never expected that Western Nefarious Sangha was nearly killed by someone else, and even had a seal cast on his soul and had his life under the control of that person. Who could that person be? Western Nefarious Sangha was very formidable already. Could it be that the other party was more formidable than him? Furthermore, wasn't there also Golden Armored Zombie with him? Could it be that he just watched as the other party trashed Western nefarious Sangha so helplessly like that? However, upon recalling their purpose in coming this time, Jin Sanchi did not feel like asking about it and shouted in a deep voice. Nefarious Sangha, I'm giving the three of you a chance to live, submit and be obedient without putting up a fight, and help us open the immortal trove in this immortal abode. Else you three will die very tragically. Western nefarious Sangha sneered, keep talking in your dreams, you fucking idiot. All those who cast their greedy eyes on the immortal trove must die. A few kilometers away, Tang Xiu and Moa's group of 11 quietly landed in the woods. After instructing the 11 people to stay and wait, Tang Xiu then turned himself into a cold breeze and silently lurked towards the immortal abode where he ambushed Western nefarious Sangha. From far away, he could see a lot of people gathered there facing 3 people, Western nefarious Sangha, golden armored zombie, and a woman. After a while, Tang Xiu hid in the woods 400+ meters away and silently observed them. Even though he stood there, he could faintly hear their dialogue. There's indeed an immortal trove there. Western nefarious Sangha did not tell me about it, so he definitely has some selfish motives, or has plotted something devious in mind. A killing intent flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes. The soul ruling spell had a special effect in that the controlled person would be very loyal. However, such negated usefulness on Western nefarious Sangha was a very rare exception. And with his high intelligence, Tang Xiu could guess that there must be some problems with it. Chapter 668, Mutual Losses. The real winner would depend on absolute strength, and true powerhouses only believed in the power of their fists. When the confrontation between adversaries was inevitable, those who were bolder enough to stake everything they had would come out as the victor. In this situation, it could only be complemented by the momentum, but one could never conclude the final outcome. Western nefarious Sangha, golden armored zombie, and Shippo were not weak people. They had high cultivation and formidable strength, so even if they were against enemies dozens of times in number than them, they had no fear at all. It was an immortal trove. It was a huge opportunity, and the key to elevating the level of their strength, and those who cast their greedy eyes toward it must cross over their dead bodies. Stubborn and hopeless idiots. If we don't have a surefire plan in hands, do you really think we would dare to come for the immortal trove and face the 3 of you with dozens of people? While giving the order to pressure the trio on the momentum, Jin Sanchi flipped out a golden flag inscribed with a pattern of a humongous red dragon from his hand. Then his aura instantly soared the moment he grabbed that flag. Whiz. A ray of light, however, came shooting from a distance and was instantly caught by Jin Shurje's hand. It was a halberd that emitted out an aura that depicted great changes through the ages, the Sky Piercer halberd, which he firmly grasped in hand. You refuse to bow your head, thus you shall be beaten till your soul shatters. This Sky Piercer halberd never drank blood ever since I obtained it decades ago. You all shall be its sacrificial offerings today. Coldness filled Western nefarious Sangha's eyes. His figure suddenly retreated while at the same he fiercely shouted, You two go ahead first, this penniless monk must fetch something, but I'll be back right away. Golden armored zombie and Shippo exchanged looks and their eyes lit up instantly. Without any words, the 2 people separately flew toward Jin Sanchi and Jin Sijie and simply ignored those people from strange doors. Although some of them were already on the boundary of the Tao and became a cultivator, they were just comparable to those cultivators at the Qi refining stage. Tang Xiu, who hid amidst the bushes and saw that both sides began to clash, immediately restrained his aura and quietly retreated towards the back. After he reached the place where Moao and the others were waiting, he immediately led them towards the peak of the mountain in a hurry. Being too close to the battle site would get them affected. It was hard to avoid since the fight between people at their cultivation level would undoubtedly be very big, and would affect a very wide area. Helping them? The idea did not even cross Tang Xiu's mind. The existence of the immortal trove made Tang Xiu wary against Western nefarious Sangha. He wanted to find out how the matters stand with this monk, as to why he still harbored disloyalty even though he already controlled his life, and even promised him benefits such as those concocted pills. After concealing themselves amidst rocks and trees in the forested mountain, Tang Xiu looked at the 4 people who were currently engaging in mortal combat. Although their battle was very intense and fierce and they were equal in strength, yet the moves they showcased were rather coarse and crude, and the number of magic arts they used was very pathetic. Even their magic tools did not produce remarkable might at all. What a waste! Tang Xiu secretly shook his head. Whether it was the flag in Jin Sanchi's hand or the sky-piercer halberd held by Jin Sijia, each of them was a good magic weapon. But what made Tang Xiu speechless beyond measure was that these 2 men did not even comprehend any methods and techniques about the refining school of thought at all. They did not integrate their magic weapons into their bodies to foster its power and connected it to their blood vessels, of which qi and blood essence circulated, and thus would achieve a perfect command over the weapons as easy as moving their fingers. What I did not expect is Golden Armored Zombie. His strength rose a lot in just these few days. In the center of a mountain valley in the distance, Golden Armored Zombie brandished his long saber to slash the partly hidden and partly visible huge array laid out by the people from the strange doors. Layers of ripples fluctuated in the air, and despite his astonishing strength, Golden Armored Zombie was unable to break the flag array at all. Occasionally, a red dragon that emerged from the flag array out of thin air moved and attacked extremely fast and caused a lot of injuries to him, despite the dragon itself having no corporeal body. Shippo at the other side, however, seemed quite relaxed. Although the sky-piercer halberd brandished by Jin Sijia created blasting gales, she only held a clay pot that constantly released goo insects and black smoke, while the locusts that were looming amidst the black smoke were partly hidden and partly visible. The biggest goo insect among them was the size of a thumb. These goo insects, however, moved faster than Jin Sijia. While their attacks were unable to break through the layer of qi enveloping Jin Sijia, they still unceasingly consumed his true essence nonetheless. Raging Flame Talisman. Jin Sijia suddenly shouted and threw the Raging Flame Talisman, as layers of flames instantly spread out in all directions. The sudden flame burst instantly covered Shippo inside even though she was always alert. And what made her panic the most was that the locusts she released were burned to death in the raging fire. Even the black smoke was also cleansed by the fire. Damn, how come you have a Raging Flame Talisman? Who could still be proficient in its manufacturing technique nowadays? Shippo's hemp clothes suddenly fell off and formed a wall to protect her body as she yelled in rage while rushing out of the sea of flames. Buzz, buzz. For lightning talismans were consecutively thrown by Jin Sijia yet again, and Shippo, who was running away in panic, did not notice it and was hit by dozens of lightning bolts. Although she spewed a green light bead from her mouth and was lucky enough to neutralize 60% of the lightning bolt's might, her body, however, was not strong enough to withstand the bolts and still got seriously injured. Bastard! Western Nefarious Sangha just rushed out of the cave entrance and saw Shippo, who was in a serious state and spitting blood. His eyes turned bloodshot and got frenzied. His figure shot forward as though a meteor and appeared in front of Jin Sijia in the blink of an eye. At this moment, he was holding a long spear in his hand. The spear was jet black and seemed to be covered with thick fish scales. The diamond-shaped spearhead ridge was high and the sharpness of its blade was peerlessly incisive, and emitted out a faint circulating cold light. The soft tassels on the spear were like finely particulate hair, and yet had its own sense of disheveled beauty as the spear was brandished. "Come!" shouted Jin Sijia. The sky-piercer halberd and the black spear were then strangled together. In the next moment, however, his complexion drastically changed as a sense of danger came to him. The sky-piercer halberd was instantly thrown out of his hand and the black spear seized the opportunity to impale his chest. Damn! Jin Sanchi, who was fighting Golden Armored Zombie in a relaxed manner with the flag array, had always been paying attention to Jin Sijia's situation. He secretly cheered when Shippo suffered heavy losses under Jin Sijie's attack, but his pleasant surprise then vanished in an instant, because his brother's chest was about to be pierced right at his heart. Octagon Net, Demon Vanquishing Bell. Jin Sanchi's expression was thoroughly ferocious as he sped up the attacks released by the flag array, and constantly hurt Golden Armored Zombie while letting out a loud bellow. Immediately, those 8 decrepit old men pierced their hearts at the same time. Along with the splashing blood essence coming out from their hearts, they threw an 8-node large net blazing with flames with the 2 bloodthirsty chiropterans trapped in it. Dong. A dull bell sound suddenly rang from the rest of the Strange Doors people. The magical sound was like the sound of a thunderclap that directly struck Western Nefarious Sunga's ears. At this time, despite his formidable strength, Western Nefarious Sunga felt his head buzz and turned dizzy, and his body suddenly froze while the octagon nets combined into a large net that shrouded him. Kill. 8 jade swords suddenly appeared in the hands of the 8 decrepit old men whose hearts were bleeding, as 8 lines of sword chi swiftly and fiercely shot out from the 8 jade swords to pierce through Western Nefarious Sunga's body. Break. Western Nefarious Sunga grabbed a porcelain bottle and quickly took the holy healing medicine from it. His black spear swept over to tear the huge net. Just as blood splashed from his body, he had instantly appeared in front of the 8 decrepit old men and brandished the spearhead on them, resulting in the 8 men losing their heads in an instant. Following that, he kicked one of the old men's head towards Jin Sanchi's direction, who floated dozens of meters high in the air to control the flag array. Humph. The slaughtering of those 8 decrepit old men was met with Jin Sanchi's indifference. He flew to the side, trying to avoid the flying head shooting at him. The next moment, however, the head suddenly exploded and a poisonous dark mist burst out and shrouded him inside. Impossible. Jin Sanchi was very confident about his strength, yet having a poisonous mist sucked into his body all of a sudden raised a chill inside his heart because he was perfectly aware that this poisonous mist would corrode his internal organs rapidly. He would be sapped of his strength like his power being extracted continuously if this poisonous smoke was to invade his blood. Flag array, self-destruct. This turn of events was far from good, and Ji Sanchi was barely able to bear the pain as he bellowed. The flag array that trapped Golden Armored Zombie inside exploded, and Golden Armored Zombie's steel-like formidable was then covered with his own blood in an instant. He spurted out mouthfuls of blood as his body flew in the air like a falling meteorite and then heavily crashed on the ground. Both sides suffered losses mutually, and both sides played their cards up their sleeves and crazily preyed on each other, with the final result leaving them with mutual heavy losses. The heaviest injured were Jin Sijie and Western Nefarious Sunga, and the injuries were definitely dangerous for both of them if they did not treat it immediately. Splash. The blood-colored liquid was splashing out, as a sharp dagger shot by a middle-aged woman from the Strange Doors easily sliced Shippo's throat and made her fall to the ground. Western Nefarious Sunga then looked at Shippo's throat. Her entire trachea was cut along with its arteries. This sudden sneak attack had claimed Shippo's life directly. Shippo. You fucking damn. Western Nefarious Sunga's face contorted. Despite bleeding due to the displacement of his internal organs, yet he was still like a tiger that plunged into its prey as he shot toward the middle-aged woman among those Strange Doors people. Like a tiger entering a flock of lambs, he brandished and swept his spear at the Strange Doors people, and each and every one of the Strange Doors people who got struck was either killed or heavily injured. Green snake, turn into an arrow. Jin Sanchi, who had landed on the ground, had the green snake coiled around his arm shot like a sharp arrow through Western Nefarious Sunga's chest. Its swiftness made it impossible for him to react. Western Nefarious Sunga would have been able to avoid it had there been time to protect himself, but at this time, he could only watch helplessly as he did not have the means to remedy it. On top of the mountain, Tang Xiu squinted his eyes and observed the situation where both sides mutually suffered heavy losses. His expression looked solemn. His expression turned nasty since Western Nefarious Sangha took out that jet black spear. Because he could see that that spear was not just an ordinary magic weapon, it was at a higher level than magic weapons. A spirit weapon. At present, he could judge and confirm. Western Nefarious Sangha definitely had been disloyal towards him a couple days ago. So much so that he did not hesitate to bet on his life by being unwilling to expose the matter about the Immortal Trove, and this spirit-long spear. Golden Armored Zombie was the same rotten apple as well as he told him that Western Nefarious Sangha was a timid and cowardly person, and eventually led him to spare the monk's life. Chapter 669, Buying Time to Settle the Account Afterwards. You all wait here. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and after giving this order, his body instantly floated and after several seconds of flying, he then dove down towards the mountain valley. In just a dozen seconds, he appeared in the middle of the battle where both sides had mutually suffered heavy losses. Who is it? How is he here? Jin Sanqi and Jin Sijia converged together and instantly retreated back to the crowd of Strange Doors people. They looked panicked and full of horror as they set their vision at Tang Xiu's figure intently, while Western Nefarious Sangha was trembling and Golden Armored Zombie who had yet get up from the ground wore a disbelieving expression. Crack. With a loud slap of his palms, Tang Xiu pulled Western Nefarious Sangha dozens of meters high to the air and stretched his hand out to catch the jet black spear. He coldly hummed and said, "Humph, this really is depicting the old adage that humans will die for riches like bids will for food. Nefarious Sangha, you do have some good means and good plots indeed." Western Nefarious Sangha wailed in anguish inside. Never did he dream that Tang Xiu would come back here. He knew that he was finished. Tang Xiu probably would not spare him for concealing the matter about the Immortal Trove, and that he had already seen through whatever schemes he had in mind. However, he did not want to die because Tang Xiu had imparted the cultivation technique he had yet to try, and he wanted to become a nascent soul stage powerhouse in the future as well. Therefore, under the watchful of everyone present, he suppressed his fatal injury and threw himself at Tang Xi's front, kneeling and bitterly weeping, "Boss, please forgive me. I'm willing to help you open the entrance to the Immortal Trove left by Daoist Tu Yang and help you obtain everything inside it." At this moment, Golden Armored Zombie had finally gotten up. A chill filled his heart after seeing Tang Xiu and hastily called out, "You came, Immortal Master. You won't have any problems cleaning up these people. I'm severely injured now and I'll take my leave." With that said, he then tried to leave. Tang Xiu sneered and threw the black spear in his hand. In a thousandth of a second, it pierced Golden Armored Zombie's head and directly slew him. He had spared this Golden Armored Zombie's life previously and thought that this old zombie would be of a little use, and even gave him a suitable cultivation technique to practice as he wanted to foster an expert out of him. But now, he utterly detested this Golden Armored Zombie who appealed mercy for Western Nefarious Sangha. What he abhorred was his small calculation to scheme him. Turning his head to look at the frightened Western Nefarious Sangha, Tang Xiu sneered, "I gave you a chance already. Pity that your ambition is way too high and you missed this opportunity in vain. So, you must die as well." With a flick of his thought, Western Nefarious Sangha's heart directly exploded, and even his body exploded into a cloud of blood and completely disappeared from the world. After having vented the anger inside and taking back the black spear, Tang Xiu shifted his gaze to the large crowd in the forest, toward Jin Sanqi and Jin Shijia and the dozens of people of the Strange Door who were still alive. "Are you people not going to introduce yourselves?" Tang Xiu did not intend to kill these people. After all, their goal was the Immortal Trove and the people they attacked were Western Nefarious Sangha and Golden Armored Zombie. However, you'd better think about the owner when you want to beat the dog. He did not mind exterminating these people as well if they did not act like losers and paid nothing. While trying his best to suppress the poison inside his body, Jin Sanqi watched in vigilance when Tang Xiu killed Golden Armored Zombie and Western Nefarious Sangha. After a moment of silence, he asked in a deep voice, "Who are you?" The boss of Golden Armored Zombie, answered Tang Xiu. You know clearly well what I'm asking about that, said Jin Sanqi. You're not worthy enough to know my identity, said Tang Xiu with indifference. What I want from you is how you will make up for this. You, after all, besieged my people, and that made me unhappy. While covering his chest, Jin Sijia stepped forward and said, since you want us to explain it, I'm willing to use my life to work for you to pay off this debt. But I hope your excellency can give mercy to my third brother and the rest and spare their lives. Your life isn't worth anything in my eyes. Besides, your life is about to end. Tang Xiu sneered. Do you find it interesting to fool me? Then what do you want? Asked Jin Sijia with a white and bloodless complexion. Hand over that sky-piercer halberd and that golden bell. That's simple, said Tang Xiu lightly. Jin Sijia threw the sky-piercer halberd to Tang Xiu and then turned to look at the dozen people of the strange doors and shouted, give it to him. They did not even hesitate to do what he ordered. They could feel how powerful Tang Xiu was and simply did not dare to offend him at the moment. Provoke Tang Xiu's anger and the chance of them surviving this predicament would be close to negligible. After handing over the golden bell to Tang Xiu, they immediately returned to their original positions. Jin Sijia coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood and said, we will not dare to set our eyes on the immortal trove again, Your Excellency, so we can't be considered as enemies. Can we take our leave now? The matter here has indeed been solved, but there are still some private matters that need to be addressed. Of all you people from the strange doors, who among you are from the Serenity sect and Jin family? Asked Tang Xiu lightly. I'm the sect master of Serenity sect, Xian Yu. 6 of our experts came out this time, but the other 5 have died, said a sturdy middle-aged who stepped out from the crowd and cupped his fists. I'm a member of Jin family, said the middle-aged woman, who had sneak attacked and killed Shipo, took 2 steps forward. She was seriously injured at this moment due to Western Nefarious Sangha's attack previously, and her chances of surviving were slim had she not treated her injuries timely. With an indifferent expression, Tang Xiu nodded and said, 2 of you, you had better commit suicide immediately if you don't want to suffer the fate of wanting to live and die and yet you can't have both. Furthermore, I don't think there is any need for either the Serenity sect and Jin family to exist anymore. You don't have to fear to be lonely on the road to the underworld after you die. With a great change in expression, Xian Yu hurriedly shouted, but why? Has our Serenity sect ever offended you, Your Excellency? Elegant chess saintess hastily cupped her fists and said, this. Immortal Master, where and how my Jin family has inadvertently offended you? Please tell me directly. I'll explain it to you since you too want to die. Tang Xiu snorted coldly. Xian Yugu, from the Serenity sect, and Wang Hu, a disciple of Elegant Chess Saintess, signed the life and death pact with me in the hunting grounds since they wanted to kill me quickly. I have killed both of them now. That's right, that Justice Hall's master of the Serenity sect was also killed by my subordinate. Do you think I will spare your lives since I've killed your people and give you a chance for revenge? What did you say? Xian Yu's pupils constricted and he staggeringly took 2 steps back, almost sitting on the ground. Xian Yugu was his only child, part of his soul and his treasure. And yet, he was actually killed by this bastard? Elegant Chess Saintess looked so grieved and wretched while intense regret grew inside her. The reason why she took Wang Hu as a disciple was because his family could help her a bit. Furthermore, Wang Hu also had a good constitution and was suitable to inherit her mantle. But she never expected that that damn bastard would turn out to court such a huge trouble for her and the Jin family. I'll kill you. Xian Yu suddenly flashed towards Tang Xiu while Elegant Chess Saintess was filled with regrets. He pulled the 2-handed saber from his waist and brandished it towards Tang Xiu. Don't. Jin Sanqi and Jin Sijia exclaimed at the same time. However, a cold glint flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes as he pierced the long black spear in his hand towards the man's chest and instantly killed him. After which, Tang Shou looked at Jin Sanqi and Jin Shijia as he said, I don't feel like killing these people from the Serenity sect. You two will kill them. With that said, he flicked his finger and shot a holy healing medicine towards Jin Shijia. Jin Shijia looked stunned as he glanced at the holy healing medicine in his hand. After smelling it, he then immediately exclaimed, this medicine is. Take it. It can preserve your life, said Tang Shou indifferently. With an ecstatic expression, Jin Shijia replied without hesitation, thank you, Taoist. I'll exterminate the Serenity Sect's people on your behalf. Tang Shou nodded at him and then looked at Elegant Chess Saintess. At the moment, Elegant Chess Saintess's face was constantly changing. Under Tang Shou's gaze, she braced herself forward and bitterly said, Immortal Master, I don't know how that scoundrel disciple of mine offended you. Since he already died in your hands, it's a death he deserved for his punishment. But I hope you can work around my Jin family this once, Immortal Master. My family is willing to compensate you. What compensation can your Jin family give me, huh? Tang Shou sneered. You must know, only a few things can enter my eyes. Elegant Chess Saintess was silent for a while before she suddenly stepped forward and took out a red-colored water caltrip from her waist, and handed it over to Tang Shou. This is a magic weapon I accidentally obtained from a certain place in the Miao region. But I'm not a cultivator and have no means to use it. I'm now offering it to you, Immortal Master. I hope you can see my sincerity and spare us this time. A magic weapon? Tang Shou took the red water caltrip and was immediately surprised since it was indeed a magic treasure, a magic weapon especially tailored to women. He really could not figure out something. When did so many magic weapons exist on Earth? Half a minute after, he looked at Elegant Chess Saintess again and indifferently said, You're not bad. I saw you act to kill Shippo and saved me some energy to act, so I'll spare you this time. Jin Sanqi, Jin Shijia, since the two of you dare to lead a lot of people to come here, I'm sure you have a way to open the entrance to this immortal trove, isn't that right? Jin Sanqi and Jin Shijia exchanged looks, as the brothers then shook their heads in an answer. Jin Sanqi then said with a helpless expression, Fellow Taoist, we have yet to grasp any means for it. We dragged in a lot of people this time chiefly to exterminate Western Nefarious Sangha, Golden Armored Zombie, and Shippo to seize this place. Only then would we try to slowly conduct a research to find a way to break through this immortal abode and get the immortal trove. Then leave now if you don't know anything. Tang Shou said. But do remember. This place is not for you to come in the future. I hope you stop being avaricious and give away your life in vain. Understood. Jin Sanqi and Jin Shijia were helpless and yet they had no choice but to comply. They were all injured now, and their remaining strength at this moment was only at 50%. They would probably lose their lives if they fought with Tang Shou. Immediately after, more than a dozen people left quickly, leaving only Tang Shou and several dead bodies there. After storing the golden bell and red water caltrip, Mo and the others caught up fast. Tang Shou ordered them to deal with the dead bodies and then took the black spear and entered the cave where Western Nefarious Sangha planted medicinal herbs. It was an immortal trove. He did not know what treasure it stored inside, but since it could drive Western Nefarious Sangha and the Jin brothers to lose all decorum and have a fallout, then it could only mean that the treasures it held were outstanding. Chapter 670, His Identity. Kana's Hunting Grounds. After Jin Sanqi and Jin Shijia brothers arrived there with the remaining dozens of people from the strange doors, they secretly met with the owner of the hunting grounds, Gasanger. After getting all the way there, Jin Sanqi had finally suppressed the poison in his body and it would no longer threaten his life. As for Jin Shijia, he had taken the holy healing medicine and, despite his injury having yet to fully heal, his life was no longer in danger. Two seniors, you are? Gasanger wore a strange expression. Especially when he saw the miserable appearance of Jin Shijia and the bloodstains all over his body. He was about to speak out his mind but hesitated and stopped after letting out some words. "We are fine," said Jing Sanqi indifferently. "The reason we came here is that there are some things we need to ask you. As far as I know, the son of sect master of the Serenity sect was killed along with elegant chess saintess disciple here. What I want to know is, who exactly is the person who killed them?" Gesangjer stared blankly and was secretly worried about Tang Xiu. Though he did not have much friendship with Tang Xiu, he liked his character and felt that the young man was a very capable person, and yet he too knew how terrifying these two people were. Nowadays, the number of cultivators in the entire Strange Doors were far too few, while 2 or 3 of them were also disciples of Jing Sanqi and Jing Sijie. Therefore, their words were held in high esteem and held much weight in the Strange Doors, as they were also their biggest patron. As a member of the Strange Doors himself, Gesangjer was someone who possessed authority over one of the parties under it. He naturally did not dare to hide anything and truthfully disclosed everything he knew about Tang Xiu. He then finally concluded, "What I know about him is only this much. But my old friend for many years, Jia Weili, might know more. I'll go look for him if the 2 seniors need to inquire more." "No, you don't need to look for him." Jing Sanqi waved his hand. Knowing him as the young miracle-working doctor of Star City Chinese Medical Hospital in Shuangqing Province is a little clue, in and of itself, and by following this clue, we can naturally find his real identity as well. "All right, we'll be staying in your place to heal ourselves for a while. After the people from Strange Doors have left, you will be closing your hunting grounds for some time. Junior will arrange everything as per your instructions," said Gesangjer hastily. After Gesangjer left the room, Jing Sanqi's expression turned grim and gloomy. He did not speak for a long time and then said indifferently, "His identity as a Chinese medicine practitioner is definitely a disguise he intentionally uses to those in the outside to cover the real one. For him to be able to make Western nefarious Sangha submit and become his boss only means something. He's not some simple man." Furthermore, Gesangjer said that he brought 11 of his subordinates, and one of them killed the Justice Hall's master of the Serenity sect. That kid had a fortuitous encounter and was a hair away from the final push to become a cultivator by virtue of his martial arts. For him to be killed by one of Tang Xiu's men means that his subordinate is also a cultivator. Now, I'm suspecting that Tang Xiu is not only an itinerant cultivator but also someone from a large cultivation section. Jing Sijie frowned. Where would such a large cultivator sect exist in today's society? "We, brothers, also know that the number of cultivators in entire China is probably not more than 10, right? That is because we know nothing of the rest." Jing Sanqi sneered and rebuked him. "There are more than 1 billion people in China, and heavens knows how many cultivators and those who inherited Dao heritages are there. That Amur tiger boy was buried in Beijing some time ago, and we don't know who killed him. Do you think ordinary people can kill him?" Jing Sijie's expression moved and he immediately nodded without refuting it. "So, what do we do next? Tang Xiu is now occupying the Immortal abode and its immortal trove and forced us to pay a heavy price. Don't tell me we are just going to let it go like this? Let us wait and see first." Only then did Jing Sanqi replied helplessly after having been silent for a long time. Western nefarious Sangha occupied that immortal abode with immortal trove for so many years and yet he was still unable to open its entrance at all. Tang Xiu just learned about it, and he probably won't be able to open its entrance either for the time being. The first thing we must do now is to treat our injuries and then find his real identity. We'll scheme against him if he doesn't have a formidable cultivator force behind him, but we have no other choice but to give this up if it is otherwise, and we gotta try to be in good terms with him as much as possible. The Strange Door has suffered heavy losses. Should we give them some compensation?" asked Jing Sijie. "I thought about it on the way back and made up my mind. Those 8 families and forces paid quite a disastrous price, thus they will be bitterly disappointed if we can't pacify them, so let us just give them 8 quotas," said Jing Sanqi. "And we should accept a few disciples." But, the cultivation resources we have. Jin Sijia refuted quickly, but he could not finish his words as Jin Sanchi interrupted him with indifference. I'm aware that cultivation resources we have now is scarce, so we cannot provide too many resources to foster disciples. But they are members of those 8 families who want to train under us. Don't tell me they don't even have some resources? Those 8 families must have amassed quite a lot of good things all these many years. True that. Jin Sijia nodded without refuting. In the Immortal abode, Longquan Bay, Tang Xiu painstakingly studied the array of the soul tranquilizer stone and solidified dragon's eye on the ceiling of the cave, yet he could not find any clues whatsoever no matter how hard he tried. He even spent several days to refine a spirit tool and the spear to unleash a powerful might, yet he was still unable to destroy the array. No way to take it down, and neither can I destroy it. Tang Xiu stood in the middle of the cave with a long, distressed face. One must know that he was once a supreme in the immortal world and had an extremely deep knowledge and attainments in arrays. And yet, he had never seen nor heard of the strange arrangement of this array before. Forget it. I can only give up for now. But this place is indeed good. I cannot leave it unguarded. Tang Xiu went out of the cave. As he came outside and saw that Moao's group of 11 were cultivating there, he then ordered 4 of them to stay here, responsible for guarding the immortal trove. Following which, the then left with Moao's group of the remaining 7 men quickly. There were a lot of things he had to do, and he could not waste his time staying here. As he looked at the time, it was almost the day the Shanghai University started the new term, and he had not yet called Han Qingwu for a leave of absence. Although his relationship with Han Qingwu was better now, it was still not a justified excuse if he did not speak about it to her. On the second day, Tang Xiu returned to Shanghai and phoned Han Qingwu to ask for a leave. Though he spent some effort, Han Qingwu finally gave consent, and shortly after, he then headed for the Research Institute to hold a meeting with MOE and wandered around the institute for half of the day. When he saw that they were currently preparing for the following research, he contacted Kong Xia and instructed for 2 capable and trustworthy employees of the magnificent Tang Corporation to come over. During the busy days, Mu Qingping returned to 9 Dragons Island with Guyin, and Tang Xiaohan went with them. Tang Xiu originally wanted Tang Xiaohan to stay, but upon recalling that he often encountered various incidents and could not spare much time to take care of him, he also agreed with it. South Gate Town. As Tang Xiu returned from the outside and came to his parents' place. The reason why he came back was that his mother, Su Lingyun, was ill. Though it was not a serious illness and she only had a cold and a fever, he hurried there first. He even did not spare the time to examine the power generator set that had just been delivered from abroad. I'm fine, Xiu. I just need to take some medicine and get some injections. I'll be fine in a couple of days. Su Lingyun was leaning on the bedhead. Her complexion was a bit pale and looked a bit wilted, but she forced out a smile and spoke after seeing Tang Xiu's concerned face. Tang Xiu gave her an examination and felt relieved upon finding that his mother had indeed only caught an ordinary cold and fever. He then immediately said with a smile, "Mom, did you forget my identity? The title of Star City Chinese Medical Hospital's young divine doctor is not blown out as flaunting for marketing. Rest assured, Mom. I'll make a prescription for the medicine to get boiled for you to drink up. I guarantee that you will recover by tomorrow morning." All right. Su Lingyun's smiling face was a bit wider than just a moment ago. Shortly after, Tang Xiu walked out of the room and saw that his father, Tang Yunda, just came out from the inside. His expression was a bit serious as he talked to him. "Dad, there are some things I want to talk to you about." Upon seeing the bit serious expression on his son's face, Tang Yunda nodded and said, "Let's go to the study room." In the study room. Right as Tang Xiu took a seat, he spoke, "Dad, you two know that I'm a cultivator, and you must be perfectly aware what kind of existence a cultivator is. I've been considering all this while to impart a cultivation technique to you and Mom and helping you both to step on the cultivation path. But there have been many things to tend to, so I have not yet been able to realize it until now. So, I'm going to stay in Star City for some time to guide you and Mom in cultivation. There was a joyful expression on Tang Yunda's face. But after pondering for a short while, he shook his head and said, I don't think it's time yet. The most important thing for you in your mom's heart now is your studies. Staying in Star City to tend to your things may be very important to you, but I think the best thing you should do is to hurry up to get your things done here and then return to Shanghai. If you want to teach a cultivation technique to me and your mom, wait for some time as I and your mom will go to Shanghai and stay there for some time. This? Tang Xiu somewhat hesitated. But then he felt that what his father said was correct and reasonable. He finally put away the idea and said, then I'll teach some basic knowledge first. For example, the acupoints in the human body, meridians, and the cultivation technique's contents. I will then fully assist you to step on the cultivation path once you come to Shanghai. All right. This time, Tang Yunda did not refuse. He could feel the kindly intention inside his son's heart, and he too knew that his son had a mature way of thinking. Having such a son not only made him fortunate but also touched. Xiu. There's something I need to tell you while you're here. Tang Yunda suddenly stopped him when Tang Xiu was about to leave the study room. What is it? Asked Tang Xiu with a puzzled expression after turning around. Just write me that prescription and give it to me directly. I'll get the medicines and boil them while you are going to the airport. Tang Yunda smiled. That girl, Wei Ning, said that she will arrive at Star City this evening, thus you will pick her up. Mu Weining? What is she doing in Star City? Asked Tang Xiu. Doesn't she currently have schooling to attend to at Shanghai University? The smile on Tang Yunda's face looked mysterious when he answering, don't ask so many questions, will you? In any case, change your clothes to something formal.